I am going to a party and I am bringing the entertainment. So here is today's entertainment. You know, I'm starting to realize why you never get invited to these things.
Do you want to see an example of someone with no friends playing multiplayer games with bots or random people online? Yeah, you're looking at them. The 7th generation of gaming consoles, a time where more and more people were getting into gaming, with the console company making the most contributions to that arguably being Nintendo. To be fair, Sony and Microsoft had their fair share of their contributions to the explosive growth in gaming, but Nintendo was arguably the one to be the catalyst to that growth thanks to their 2 systems at the time, the DS and the Wii. While Sony and Microsoft were busy duking it out for the attention of the hardcore gamers, Nintendo decided to go off on their own and do their own thing and cater to everyone else. How did it go? I don't know, but over 100 million units each kind of speaks for itself. It's not hard to see why. The standard controllers might be incomprehensible for someone not versed in video games, but the DS's touchscreen controls and the Wii's motion controls not only offer new ways to play games that can't be replicated with standard game controllers, but they're also often simple enough that anybody can jump in and play. So naturally, when the gaming audience increases, so does the number of people from all walks of life. This generation really showed that there is a game for everybody out there, but the DS and Wii really took that to heart thanks to their large libraries having something for both the hardcore and casual crowds. Of course, video games always had a variety of demographics throughout time. It was never the exclusive club for young boys that the media always portrayed the medium to be. The 7th generation of consoles made that a lot more apparent than ever, especially when publishers started noticing this with the Wii and DS's success. So what do? They do what they can to capitalize on that.
Relying heavily on the hardcore crowd isn't gonna cut it anymore, and Nintendo paved that road for others to follow. You know the saying, don't put your eggs in one basket? This was the point where the video game industry really started taking it to heart.
Unfortunately, it's not always sunshine in this road. Publishers are often so focused on the potential sales that quality tends to be of a lesser priority in a lot of cases. In the most extreme cases, getting it out the door at any cost becomes a priority and quality completely goes out the window. This phenomenon is known as shovelware, a game that's released without any care put into it, either out of laziness, an insufficient budget, not enough time, or all of the above. No system is immune to shovelware, and the issue continues to worsen even today, but the Wii and DS were the poster children of the shovelware mire, due to the 2 systems' success and the broad demographic. And it's not just small developers making this stuff, but big publishers like EA, Activision, and Ubisoft are among the guilty.
Let's give some attention to Ubisoft here, because being the publishers of franchises like Rayman, Assassin's Creed, and Far Cry, you'd think they'd be mindful of what gets published under them, right? Well, they published this, so who knows what went wrong there.
Ubisoft had 2 franchises that catered to the casual crowd, Pets and Imagine. These 2 series were big during the 7th generation's big push to appeal to casual gamers. Both series are of the simulation genre, with Pets focusing on virtual pets and Imagine focusing on different careers. We're going to be diving into the latter because this series is weird. A series aimed at girls, this franchise consists of simulation games with a mission statement similar to that of Barbie, to have girls be what they want to be. The Imagine franchise made its debut with Imagine Master Chef in 2007, and this series lasted all the way to 2014, with Imagine Championship Rider 3D on the 3DS being the last game in the series. The overall quality of these games are all over the place. It's a huge gamble whether it'll be an alright game or just plain garbage, but then you take a look at the visuals and notice that their art styles are also all over the place. How is this game in the same series as this other game? Multiple studios working on different entries of a game series isn't anything new, just ask Call of Duty. But the Imagine series sometimes takes a very weird approach to it. Apparently some entries are actually just localizations of certain Japanese games with the Imagine brand stamped on there when it was brought over to the West.
I just came up with an insane way to make better art. Steal it from Japan.
It's worth pointing out that most of the Imagine series are on the DS, but only 2 are on the Wii, Imagine Fashion Party and Imagine Party Babyz. And the latter is what we're going to be talking about today. Imagine Party Babyz, a title that disregards correct spelling by adding a Z, as if that's cooler. This game is a series oddity, as it's just a minigame collection with no elements of simulation that the Imagine games are known for. It makes sense, I can't imagine a girl aspiring to be a party baby later in life. Still, of all games in this series, Party Babyz ended up being the most notorious of the bunch, and it's not just because it's one of only 2 games in the series to be released on the Wii. So what did Party Babyz do to gain more notoriety than its sister game Fashion Party? I don't know, I'm just gonna peruse IGN for some godforsaken reason and learned that this game got a 7.5 out of 10.
What?
So this score is likely the culprit of Imagine Party Babyz getting more notoriety compared to all the other entries in the series. And I'd like to say that they're brave considering that they're the only critic review on Metacritic. But IGN's review score of 7.5 out of 10 is the center of an internet meme. Basically, a game's quality is jokingly determined by comparing its IGN review score with Imagine Party Babyz. If it's lower, it is considered inferior for some godforsaken reason. God Hand, Kirby Triple Deluxe, Sonic Frontiers, all the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and even the more recent example examples such as Mario and Luigi Brothership, Starfield, Stellar Blade. All of these games had their IGN review scores to be less than Imagine Party Babyz. How about we go the opposite direction and name games better than Imagine Party Babyz? Tales of Arise, Guilty Gear Strive, the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time, the Guy game.
No. We do not acknowledge that game and its score, and IGN seems to agree with it since they removed it.
I get that on review sites, each review is written by a different person with possibly their own review style. While they can try to be objective as possible, some bias is gonna slip in there from time to time. But something really smells about IGN giving Imagine Party Babyz of all games a 7.5 out of 10. This game is often considered shovelware, which logically means it's garbage, but it had to have done something right to warrant that score. Maybe it's the fact that it's one of the only console entries of the Imagine series. Maybe the reviewer was writing the review under different criterion from similar games. Or maybe it was good all along and we were just salty about our favorite game being scored lower than it. These are some possibilities, so in order to solve that mystery once and for all, I'm gonna do what everyone who did this meme wouldn't dare to do. I'll play the game myself.
Well, it is a party game, so to get the most out of it, that requires friends. Unfortunately, I have none, and my social skills kind of suck. So I am going at this alone. This is nothing new to me. Let's get right into it. Let's start Imagine Party Babyz.
Give me a sec, I have to choose a language. So we load up the game and we are greeted with a loading screen with babies in questionable outfits. I'm starting to wonder if these are even babies if they have full heads of hair. Oh man, that baby has some serious dance moves. So here we are in the main menu with 4 options and an absurdly large butterfly cursor. The one I care about is Solo Adventure, where there are 4 seasons, with spring being the only one that's unlocked. So let's get started. We started up and realized there is a shocking twist. There is a story. So we follow a woman named Katie who is training to be a babysitter at the Baby Club nursery run by Miss Anna Graham. Apparently Katie also attended this same nursery when she was a baby and she's here to get her diploma if she does a good job watching over the babies.
Okay, 3 things. 1, Anagram sounds like an Ace Attorney character. Punny names are a staple to that franchise. 2, this story has a neat setup, but imagine babysitters exist, and I think the story would have been more suited for that game. It even uses the same art style as Party Babyz. 3, the babies make a lot of noise, meaning that you're gonna have to get used to all of this.
We're going to go over all the minigames one by one, starting with the Bouncy Castle. You hold the Wii Remote sideways and tilt it to keep your baby balanced, which will make him go faster, and fill up a gauge that allows you to shake the Wii Remote to jump when it's full, which will mess with the balance of the other babies. Seems simple enough? I just can't help but feel a bit concerned that the less balanced the babies are, the worse their individual frame rate is. I'm not joking, each baby seems to have their own frame rate, and it's very weird. I'm up the floor with these other babies, and look, I got a costume for winning. Next up, Bubbles. It's a simple point-and-click shooting game. Nothing more to it, just pop bubbles. That's kinda it. Now, there is limited ammo, meaning that if you run out of ammo, you're out of the game, but not only did the rules not explain this, but you have plenty of ammo that you would need to purposely go wild to even do that. Oh look, yet another costume for winning. Monsters in a Box is the next minigame, and the objective is simple. When the monster pops up, swing the Wii Remote to swing your hammer before the other players, but only if your color is somewhere on the monster. Not gonna lie, this is an interesting minigame. Not only do you have to be fast, but you also have to be observant, as some monsters have colors that are barely visible. Now before we get to the next minigame, I'd like to point out the minigame rules explanation screen and how it's not great. You have to read the rules one page at a time, you can't skip them, and if you miss something or need to clarify things, you can't refer to them at any time. Take something like Mario Party's rule screen of their minigames. They're short and sweet, they're skippable, and you don't feel screwed if you need to clarify things, as you can read certain parts at any time. Imagine Party Babyz and many Wii games like it get it wrong, and this next minigame is the worst offender of that. And that minigame is the Mad Dash. It's as basic of a racing game as it gets. So you have 3 legs of the race, with the last place player dropping out after each leg. Each leg has 3 ways to control the game. Hope you remember them while reading the rules that you can't go back to read without restarting. The first has you tilt the remote left and right to run, the second has you shake it up and down to bounce, and the third simply is mashing the 2 button. Now you can use the D-pad to reposition yourself to block people, which can be a fun way to mess with them. After that basic racing game, we meet back up with Katie, who is exhausted.
Exhausted? Where the hell were you in these minigames, Katie?
And here we are introduced to Leo, the guy in the lion costume that also works there. He says that Katie should be grateful she doesn't have to dress up, but I'm wondering why Leo continues to wear that suit if he doesn't like to do that himself. Intermission over, on to the next minigame, which is pairs. Here you have to memorize the entire set of cards, and when it's your turn, you have to select a card that matches the one Leo shows. It's a simple memory game, but first turn advantage is definitely real here. It's time for the Comforter's tea time next. So moving the baby is kind of unusual. You have to take the Wii Remote pointer and your baby will automatically follow the cursor. I mean, it works, and it's great that the developers were able to accommodate for those who don't have enough nunchucks for each Wii Remote. It's just weird that they went this route when the most common method for button controls with one Wii Remote is holding it sideways and using the D-pad. But enough about the weird movement controls and back to the game. So the goal is to grab as many bowls of food as you can and deliver them to your— oh my god, what is that thing? The rules said that these are teddy bears, yet the title calls them comforters. I won't argue semantics here before going over the game. Basically, you grab bowls of food to deliver to your teddy bear and you could stack them for more points before delivering. But if you bump into another player, both you and the other player lose the stack. This game can actually get pretty chaotic unless you're like me and you stuck to the side of the playing field with no babies whatsoever. The next minigame is the sand pit. You go around and dig in random spots for different balls in the sand pit, and then you give the ball to either Leo or Mrs. Graham holding up signs containing different colors. As you can imagine, they'll only accept matching colored balls and they change very so often. See, this is fine, but there is no indication that the digging spot is where the ball can be, so it's basically down to luck. Also, the rules state that the babies are rewarded with kisses for bringing them the correct ball.
I'm pretty sure that is stranger danger, regardless if it's from a nice man in a lion costume or a sweet old lady. That is stranger danger regardless.
Counting sheep is a simple counting game. As sheep enter and exit the barn, you have to count how many sheep of your color remain inside that barn. Not terrible, but not exactly great either. You go 5 rounds of this. We conclude the season with the baby dance, where you have to shake the Wii Remote in the directions indicated when it enters the big circle. Honestly, you don't have to be on rhythm, so I just shook like crazy. It's just that if you're doing perfectly, you have to hear this annoying set of noises over and over again.
Yeah! Oh, whoa!
Also, I like how Miss Graham is the one playing the piano and yet has no problem with the fact that the stuffed animals are alive. And now back to cutscenes. So sometimes the dialogue confuses me. Like, did Miss Graham imply that Katie and Leo have met before? Since it's established that Katie attended the nursery as a baby, it's plausible that they did and don't even remember, yet in the previous cutscene, they talked as if they were old friends. Leo didn't even introduce himself by name when we first saw him. This cutscene was how I got his name. On to the next season. We gotta get these babies geared up for summer, so let's customize. It is here that I learned that you can completely change the appearance of the 4 babies, and not just in clothes. Hair and skin tone can also be changed as well. And heck, we can name these babies too. I'll do it. I don't want to see them referred to as baby 1, 2, 3, and 4, so I'm going to name them Lynn, Tommy, Dale, and Stephanie. Damn it, the character limit is too small for the entire name, so Stephanie will have to be without the E at the end. Let's check back in with Katie, who doesn't feel like she's doing a good job teaching the babies, and Leo decides to dance like an idiot. These babies are easily amused. We begin this season with the bottle. You have to shake the Wii Remote to fill the bottle, and to simulate drinking it, you have to tilt it so that it's in front of your mouth. At least that's what the rules say. I'm sure someone on the development team saw Wii trailers of people doing over-the-top actions to sell people on it and took it to heart.
Seriously, turning the Wii Remote upside down is fine. There is no way the game is going to figure out if the Wii Remote is positioned towards your mouth. I just realized what that looks like.
Anyway, once the remote vibrates, it's time to lower the Wii Remote, and when the gauge is full, press A to burp the baby. Please don't shove the Wii Remote in your mouth at any point played this game. Next up is the swimming pool, everyone's favorite summer activity. You have to shake the Wii Remote as fast as possible to move the toys towards you, but don't do it too much because you might overfill your tiredness meter and you will have to wait till it's empty to shake again. Except the babies are waving their hands like they're pushing. I'm not sure that's how you get a toy to move towards the wave's origin point. I'm pretty sure that's not how physics works. Next up is clothes, where you have to match your baby's clothes with the model that's running by. You do this by swinging the Wii Remote left and right to shift through clothes and press A to move on to the next article of clothing. Hello, the D-pad is literally right there. What is the point of these swings? I guess it's to simulate pushing hang clothes in a closet to pick out your clothes. This is a common pitfall many third-party Wii games tend to fall into, where they believe there is motion controls for every action. Like, what is the point of using motion controls to select your clothes when the D-pad could have just been used just fine? So I argue that the Mad Dash is the minigame that people who actually play this game remember the most. Why do I believe that? Because it gets repeated here, and it's exactly the same game as before without any variation to mix things up. The back of the box says that there's 40 minigames, yet if the Mad Dash gets repeated here, the back of the box clearly lied to me. checking back in with Katie, she's wondering if she's as good as a babysitter as Miss Graham, who says Katie will find her style of getting the baby's affection. If Leo can do it, anyone can. The next minigame is called Freeze, though I'm just going to call it red light, green light because that's exactly what we're playing with Leo here. You move by shaking the Wii remote, and if you're moving when Leo turns around, you have to go back a bit. That feels like nothing if you're way ahead of everyone else. Also, the rules state that you can press A to do a pose, and I think the idea here is to immediately stop you from moving in case you can't stop moving the Wii remote quick enough. But I didn't feel like that did anything except for improve my score, which, why would there be a score in a racing type of minigame? Jigsaw Puzzle is the next minigame. You'd have to point and click a puzzle piece and hope to God your baby picks it up first. There you have to find a spot where the piece goes and place it. Thankfully, all the pieces are at the perfect orientation, so you don't have to turn it yourself. It's a simple minigame, but what's not so great is that the baby noises are very frequent here. Hey, hands off my comforter. Seriously, this is a good way to simulate a baby's least favorite thing, sharing their things. Anyway, the object is to grab the doll from the center of the playing field and hold onto it as long as possible. It follows the same weird movement control scheme of your baby automatically moving towards your pointer, but you can mash A to run. Except overdoing it will cause you to run out of stamina. You know, unless I was actively looking at the gauge, I can never tell if my baby ran out of stamina or if they are even using it at all. And the varying speeds I've been seeing makes it very hard to tell if I'm even running at all. Next up is rattles, because babies love their rattles. You're supposed to hold the Wii remote sideways and tilt it left or right when your color notes get into the circle. I could never get this to work properly the first time I played. It's no wonder why I lost. Of course, I later learned I was putting way too much gusto in my tilts, which confused the Wii remote. On to the last minigame of the season, and dear God, if it's the baby dance again, son of a bitch. I'm pretty sure the patterns are almost the same as it was in the previous season. Like the mad dash, what was the point of bringing this minigame back other than to pad out content? Intermission time, and looks like Leo has a thing for Katie as he's bringing her flowers. And apparently babies can make beautiful bouquets. Better luck next time, Leo.
So I'm starting to realize that going forward with the next 2 seasons, we're going to be doing the same pattern. That pattern being 3 minigames, the mad dash, followed by 4 minigames, and then we conclude with the baby dance. Sure, we've been following Katie's training, but it doesn't seem like anything of note happens in each cutscene. But still, I've been at this for 1 hour, and I realize that I throw the worst one-person parties.
I'm serious here, there's nothing but playing minigames over and over again, and all winning them gets you a costume to customize your baby with, but nothing too impactful. There's no other grander objective that winning minigames awards you like Mario Party and their boards. And so far, it's failing as a pure minigame collection because the only thing you need to do to win the costumes is simply coming in first place. That is it. At least in other minigame collections like Wii Sports Resort and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, there's different types of content to encourage different ways of play. Here, the only collectible content you get are the costumes, and I already explained how to get them a few seconds ago.
All I'm getting out of it is that I don't see a future as a party baby. Still, I intend to press on and on and on, so let's just get through the rest of this game with the fall season.
On to the fall season. So Katie is wondering if she'll be good enough to get her diploma.
I don't know, Katie. You haven't showed up in these minigames at all.
Also, Leo needed a diploma to dress up as a lion in this nursery. That's all it takes. The first minigame of the fall is the swing. You have to swing the Wii remote up and down as indicated to gain some height on the swing. I've had so much trouble getting the controls to work properly here. I swing it in the direction indicated, yet it acts as if I either didn't do it at all or I did it wrong. You're also supposed to mash A when you're at the highest point of the swing for extra points, but that just led me to forget I have to swing downwards as the baby goes down. Overall, not my favorite. Next up is bowls. Wait, did they spell balls wrong? Let me look up that spelling. Yep, that is indeed a real word. Anyway, you take turns throwing balls at a target and gaining points based on the ball's final positions at the end of the game. My question is, why would you ever aim left and right if the bullseye on the center scores you the most points? The gauge to determine the power of your throw also displays the target, so you have no reason to miss the bullseye unless you aimed away from it. At that point, why do you even have left and right aiming? I feel as if the game would have been better if the playing field was a straight line and everyone threw from the same spot. Up next, baby food, also known as a baby's pastime of throwing food everywhere. So you swing the Wii remote in a circular motion to fake eating and shake it up and down to throw it everywhere when Leo turns around. That must be some magical food if they disappear like that, because you'd think Leo would see food everywhere by the end of this. Also, I'm pretty sure the two motions are similar enough that the Wii remote would have trouble distinguishing the two. It kind of feels like you could do either motion and the animation just automatically switches as soon as Leo turns around. I have no way of proving this, but it just feels that way. Listen, you can change the background and environment all you want, the mad dash is still the mad dash at the end of the day. I guess the only thing it managed to get out of me is that this is the season I finally noticed the background changes. Checking back in with Katie here, Miss Graham basically tells her she has nothing to worry about concerning her diploma. Okay. So let's continue with pigeons. You simply scare away pigeons to score points. You just point at the screen and hold A to make the baby walk towards the pointer. This is stupid. Previous minigames with a similar movement control scheme had the baby automatically move towards the pointer, but now you need manual control to move the baby? Now, you can mash A to make them run as long as you're mindful of your stamina, but the fact that you have to manually control the baby's movement when minigames before this allows them to move automatically bugs me very much. Also, the white doves are worth more points than the regular pigeons. Now, it could just be imagining things, but I'm pretty sure I saw some of the birds magically change color, and that's concerning. Next up, coloring in. Here you have to hover your cursor over certain spots in the coloring page and shake the Wii remote to do an action depending on the button you hold. A allows you to color in, but only in areas the game designates as your areas, while B allows you to erase areas claimed by other players. If you're thinking, this is Splatoon Splat Zones, but Baby Edition, you're not wrong. Now it's time for the regular baby activity of changing diapers. It's funny, a lot of these minigames feel like you're controlling a baby, but here you're the babysitter. In this one, you have to grab the diapers and then twist the Wii remote so that the diaper is oriented in the proper place. No, putting the diaper on the head will not work. Now, there is a rubber duck in the bathroom in the bottom of the screen that players can grab and place on another player's crib to distract them, but the duck was so easy to miss that I forgot about it and the distraction was basically meaningless, especially when you're way ahead of everyone. Up next, monsters in the cupboard. Basically memorize the order the monsters pop up as the game goes on. However, I got a brain fart and forgot to go at the start of the sequence and lost immediately. It was then I realized that they only showed the newest entries in the sequence, meaning that you have to memorize the entire sequence as the game goes on. And if you somehow didn't, the circles also indicate the sequence every time they show the new monster in the sequence. So I can't say this particular minigame is bad. My failure was a combination of the game failing to communicate information properly and me being stupid. Mostly the latter. At least I'm still literate. We're in the final minigame of the season. If the Mad Dash returned as the fourth minigame, I wonder if the baby dance is going to be the last minigame again with a different background. Sometimes I hate being right. So the story finally gets some kind of drama, and I can't wait. Leo is basically sulking, and Katie wonders if it's because he thinks the babies prefer her over him.
That is indeed a mystery, Katie, considering Leo's been in more minigames than you have.
It's time for the final season, and to make it fun, it's time to dress up as animals. So Leo's still missing, and Katie still believes the babies love her more than Leo, but who cares when we have winter baby activities? Like a snowball fight, you just point and click and your baby throws the snowball in its direction. This control scheme is fine on its own, but the minigame is from a top-down perspective. I feel that those two things don't go together very well. Now, you can press B to duck and cover to avoid any snowballs coming your way, but I've been pelting my opponents so much they hardly did anything to me. The moles that occasionally pop up are just an inconvenience and nothing else. Now it's time for Baby Sumo, and apparently these babies think dressing up as fruit is preferable for such an activity. I guess the animal costumes I picked out for them wasn't suitable for the game. Anyway, the weird movement scheme is back. We have the point at the screen, press A, and the baby will move in the direction of your pointer. You press B to push them off the ring, and holy shit, these babies are violent. Look how far they pushed. I was shocked it was that powerful. No wonder I lost. No baby game would be complete without the tickles. The goal is to gain points hovering your feather cursor over your colored spot and shaking the Wii remote to tickle the baby. It took me a few seconds to realize that the tip of the soft part of the feather is what I'm supposed to use as my pointer. Yes, it's counterintuitive because naturally cursors with feather imagery use it like a feather pen, so the hard tip on the bottom would normally be the pointer. Regardless, it's pretty easy once you figured that out. The Mad Dash is here once again. At least the track is a winter wonderland, so at least it's prettier to look at, even though it's the same exact shit as the other 3 times I played this game. We return to Katie, and Katie, get away from that guy, he looks suspicious. Oh wait, that's just Leo. I am just so accustomed to seeing Leo in the lion costume that seeing him in actual clothes feels really weird. Seriously, I trust him more when he's in costume at this point. We'll deal with that after the next minigame, which is the comforters. Okay, the use of that term in this context is bugging me, so I had to look up baby comforters on Google and this came up. Except the things we're playing with in this minigame are clearly plush dolls. Anyway, the goal is to grab the doll your baby is thinking of and bring it to them. It's not too challenging, but we're viewing the dolls from a top view and the baby's thoughts view them from the front. Hope you have a good eye for the small details. Uh-oh, we have a panic in the bathroom. Oh hey, we finally get to move the baby with the D-pad. Except we still hold the Wii remote vertically. I mean, it works, the D-pad is the only button we'll be using. It's weird because when I think of D-pad's usage for holding the Wii remote vertically, I think menu navigation. Character movement is something I just don't think of when using the D-pad in that way. Anyway, back to the minigame. So we're basically playing a competitive version of Snake by laying down a trail of toilet paper, and if you touch your own trail, you're out, and your trail disappears to give your opponents more room to lay down their trail. There's some form of strategy here, as you can use your trail to box opponents into awkward situations. I'm gonna be honest, this is the best minigame of the bunch, by a long shot. To my knowledge, I don't think there's a Mario Party minigame just like this, at least for the free-for-all category, and that surprises me because this minigame is pretty damn good. It's time to brush your teeth. You shake the Wii remote like you're brushing your teeth. Does it care if it's in front of your mouth? Anyway, doing that quickly fills up a gauge, and what is it for? Spitting into the sink from far away. Where was this when I was a baby? So the gauge you fill when brushing determines the maximum amount it'll fill when the time comes to spit, which in turn determines the maximum distance you spit. The longer the distance, the more points you score. How fitting that the second to last minigame is nap time. I'm surprised it wasn't sooner. You have to rock the baby by swinging the Wii remote as indicated, but occasionally an alarm clock will be placed in front of the crib. If that happens, you have to shake to get it off. It's not that hard of a minigame, but I just have one question. Who the hell is placing these alarm clocks in the first place knowing you're dealing with sleeping babies?
You know, I am just now realizing how ridiculous these minigames sound as I explain them, and I am astonished I made it this far with my sanity intact.
And we close off with our final baby dance. Wintry background, same exact gameplay. What a way to conclude the 4 seasons. And that means one last round of hearing all of this. I'm sure I stayed sane after going through this 4 times. And we close the story with Katie getting her diploma, allowing her to work at any nursery she likes. I wonder if Ms. Graham will announce that she's retiring and give Katie the job of running the nursery so she and Leo can be together. Oh look, I was right! Hooray! Let's celebrate with kisses under the mistletoe! The babies get their kisses, Katie kisses Leo, and Leo falls once again.
And they all live happily ever after. The end. Well, that was anticlimactic.
Seriously, I got to the end of the story and I got no credits. I have to actually go to the options to find that, meaning I could have gone to the credits right at the game's start.
I've been sitting in this chair for 2 hours playing this game. At some point, I gotta stand. Fortunately, this game does support the Wii balance board, so if I had to subject myself to this game even more, at least I'm standing.
Okay, let's go through a quick run through of the 5 minigames compatible with the Wii balance board. Red light, green light, walk to move, stand still to stand still. Bouncy castle, balance with your body, stand on your toes to jump. I never got that to work. Rattles, lean left and right where your note is. Monster in a box, you step off the balance board and step when you see your color. The baby dance, step on the side of the balance board as displayed. This reminds me of the step minigame from Wii Fit.
That's all there is? There isn't any more, but I feel like doing some math. So let's get a count of how many minigames this game has to prove the back of the box lied.
Each season has 9 minigames, but all of them have the Mad Dash and the Baby Dance, so we'll count it as 2 unique minigames with changing backgrounds. That leaves each season with 7 other unique minigames, which brings the grand total to 30 minigames, 10 short of what was promised in the box. Such liars! But wait, the back of the box never said 40 unique minigames, so that might change things. So if we count each variation of the Mad Dash, each variation of the Baby Dance, and all the Wii balance board games as separate minigames, that brings the total up to 41 minigames. Who knew changing backgrounds and using the Wii balance board can inflate a number?
And that's how you know how much free time I have when I don't have any friends. So that was Imagine Party Babyz, and after that playthrough, I'm still perplexed as to what score to give it. But let me tell you, it isn't anything higher than a 7.5. But the real question is, did I enjoy this game? I have no idea.
A lot of the minigame concepts are good, and there were some solid ones of the bunch that feel right at home with Mario Party, but it's all bogged down by most of it being too simplistic to the point of boredom. The overall gameplay structure is repetitive with very little to mix things up. While costumes are a decent reward for winning the minigames, that's all you need to do, and the costumes are the only unlockable rewards there are. I've experienced everything the game had to offer in only 2 hours, and regardless whether or not I did unlock all the costumes, I wouldn't have any reason to play this game ever again. Still, is the game as terrible as people make it out to be? I'll be honest here, not really. It's still mediocre, but it's not offensively bad. It did what it set out to do as a party game. It's possible to have some quick dumb fun with it, but it's done nothing else to stand out from the many Wii games that do anything similar. Overall, Imagine Party Babyz did its job just fine, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but you're better off playing some other party game with friends unless it's a mutual agreement.
So now that I've explored every facet of Imagine Party Babyz alone, I realized that 2 hours could have been used to talk to more people to invite to future parties. Problem is, my options are getting limited. Still, it doesn't hurt not to be picky, and I already got a meetup scheduled, so we'll see how it goes. Who needs friends anyway?